Hello everybody. In this video we're going to do a bunch of stuff. We're going to commit our code to GitHub. We're going to create a new server. We're going to do a backend server. We're going to configure it, and then we're going to deploy the application. So let's get started. As you can remember in the last video, we finished our basic test API that always responds hello there, and it's actually just committed locally in our computer. Let's actually upload this to GitHub. So let me go to, I have GitHub here open. I will create a new repository. It's called basic API. It's going to be public. I will create it. Now, in my case, this is something really important I want to say, because I have my security keys enabled. If you don't know what that means that you don't have your security keys enabled. That's why I'm using the SSH version of the URI. But everybody needs to actually use the HTTPS, something really important. So the only things that you need to add is pretty much the git remote add origin. I will do that in the root, and then I just push it. And I wait for a couple of minutes. There you go. Now if I refresh my page, I see that everything is already there. Perfect. And actually, before continue, it's asking me about a Readme file. Let's do that. Let's do something really quick. So let's go back here. Let's create a new, or here let's code readme.md. So the Readme file is a markdown language, and what it does is pretty much you can look for markdown. So I installed this one, markdown only one, just to have it here, and let me show you what it does. So let me type open preview. So whenever I type, and let me put this on my right side, there you go. So when I type something, it is going to be rendered. What GitHub does, that markup language, it gets rendered different properties. So if I do a pound space, it gets rendered as a header. I have 2 pounds, it's like a subheader, 3 pounds, a smaller one. I can then do like lines, and it's going to be like the bullet points. So I can do 1, 2, 3 with the lines. And when you do the backlit, if you do 3 of them, I can actually specify like a language, in this case like the terminal language. I can do git clone something, and to finish it like this, and then you will get some kind of, how can I explain it, like introduction repository. So I have already a readme file, so let me save it. And this readme file is just my first node application. It's actually the second one, but well, let's keep it like the first one. And to install dependencies, you need to use yarn. Environmental variables, remember, we copy the example, and then of course fill it up. To run the server is yarn dev. To build for production, let's do yarn build. And to start in production, yarn start. And then I have a comment here for PM2. PM2 is going to be installed in our server. I will explain that in a minute. So now that we have that, I can actually save it. I can add it, and let me add it readme. And the cool thing about that, if I synchronize, and this is really important in your application with over there, if you synchronize the app, that will help us. It's pretty much like doing the push. If I refresh, my readme file is here, and now my repository have those instructions. The exact same ones that we just had it. So that was one of the pretty cool things. So that's why we are putting that. And let's leave this as it is. Now I will go to DigitalOcean. Let me log in. And in my case, I have my login with GitHub because I have my account synced. There you go. And I will go to my project folder and I will create a new droplet. So we are going to now build our backend server. Let's keep 1804. Let me go back and get the cheap one. And just to remember, I don't remember where I put my last data center, but it doesn't matter that much. So I will use my private network IP version 6 and monitoring. And in my case, you will have your one-time password. Let's actually do that. Let's do the one-time password. Chosen hostname is going to be backend. And I create the droplet. Meanwhile, if we can create it, let me open my domain. And I will create first API. It's going to be pointing to my backend. I will upload in 30 seconds. That way, my first API is already pointing there. Perfect. Now I can go back to my project to verify my backend is not ready yet. I'm still waiting. There you go. So I have my domain already pointed and my backend server is already there. So what I need to do is I need to open my email, and actually let me use this one outside here. So you will receive an email like this one. I will get the root password and the ones that are going to be needed. So also I want to follow up my notes for the class, and we're pretty much filling out the backend server. So we did this one, and now we are about to log into a server. Oh, we have the application still running. Let me get out from the application. Let me remove my, okay, perfect. Now I can do SSH root. Let me see if I can do the test of first API, how we call it. Let me go to my domain. First API. First API dot Rodolfo Roman dot SYC. Perfect. Yes. That way I don't need to remember the IP address because it's already, I already have a domain pointing there. That's why this is actually working. So now I need to get my password. Let me paste it. Perfect. In my case, it's asking you changing. So with the current one and then the new one. There you go. And I'm already logging into my server. So the first, I can close my email. So now let's just update. And that's going to take a minute. Actually was fast. And let's actually upgrade that. Yes, install all the updated. So I don't want to close it because I actually want to talk about what we're going to be doing with it. We are creating a new server. We have a domain pointing to a server, and I want to show you how different servers can communicate. Actually, there will be communicated between them. The user is going to be the one who's going to be communicate to the server. This is a little more real-world scenario. The MVC architecture or the full-blown architecture is not that common. It's still there, and depending on the case, sometimes it's actually needed. And there's something called server-side rendering that's for view apps too. That is something that I will not touch. But the MVC architecture is not that common anymore. So moving forward a little more in a microservices architecture, and this is not microservices, it's just to separate of the concept of separation of duties. We have one server serving all static content, and one server, another different one, pretty much have an API that one doing the one communicating with the database and doing different pieces. And then you tie up those with the course enable, and you say that your request from your app is going to get it from the server. That's pretty much the way that it's going to be working and going to be handled here. So we are almost done. Let's actually finish this. Just wait for a minute. Okay, I will like to install the package maintainers version. And click enter. And just wait. And when this actually finish, it's a really good option just to do a reboot. And wait for a minute. Let's try to connect again. It's not there yet. There you go. That means our service already started. We put the new password, and we are there with everything upgraded. Excellent. Now we need to add our common user. In my case, it's going to be our mom BE. I will put the password. I will keep this empty. Perfect. And then I will create that user an admin. I will test the connectivity. I will exit. I will try to log in with my user. Perfect. If this works, I can get out. I go back as root. We saw that the user is actually working. So in this case, I will open the SSH configuration. SSH is the way that we actually connect. And we'll remove permit root login. I will comment this out. Sorry. Actually, no commented out. We need to change it from yes to no. So they're not able to root to connect to the server anymore. This is just for security purposes. Permit yes to no, and empty passwords to uncommented. So let's look for that one. And that one is actually it down. There you go. Permit empty passwords to no, and that's it. That way we do Ctrl X, yes to save, enter. And now that we did that, we need to restart our SSH server. We can get out now, and if we try to connect as root again, it will, and we put the password, we know the password, it will not allow us to do it. So that's perfect. That means we shielded a little bit, and now we can enter with our admin user. There you go. I will do an extra step, and this is not for you guys, this is for me. I just want to let you know. I will do, because I have my SSH keys. Let me do this, and this will allow me not even to type my password with my security keys that I already have. I will be able to go to the server directly, but that's because I already have the environment, and probably I can talk about in a later video how to do this, but right now just for getting fast access to that. So now that we are there, we need to continue working. Let's verify the firewall is inactive, so let's install it. Perfect. Let's allow the secure shell access. Let's allow the traditional HTTP access, and let's allow the HTTPS access. Now that we have those three, we enable the firewall. Yes. Now that we can verify the status again, and we will see that it's active, and the port for SSH, HTTPS, and the 443 is for the HTTP and HTTPS. So we have the three different ports already enabled, and that's pretty much what we needed. Now that we have that, we'll install Nginx. We just copy and say yes. We wait for a minute. After that, we just start Nginx at the beginning. That means when the server gets restarted, Nginx is going to be there. This will allow us actually to do first API that Rodolfo, in my case, SYC. That's my domain. My Nginx is already up and ready. Cool. Now let's install Node. So let me do this. Perfect. And then I install Node over here. If this actually happens, you need to copy these lines, and you need to do in your home directory. You know that you are in your home directory when you have that tilde over there. Do nano dot bash rc, go to the bottom, and those lines should be there. They're already there, as you can see it. That means we can do Ctrl X to exit, and we just source it, source.bash rc, in order to get that npm command. And now we can do npm install node, and we're going to be installing Node.js in our server. It's going to take a minute. Perfect. Now we're going to start yarn in order to start dependencies and everything that we need. So we do this. Perfect. Then we just copy this second one, and then we just can do this command. We wait for a couple of minutes. Now we can actually test it with node-b. We have node there, npm-b. We have npm, and yarn.b, we have yarn 2. Perfect. Now we need to add, we need to open our bash RC again, go to the bottom, and we need to make sure that our path for yarn is actually in our server. So after the nvm, we just need to copy this line and put it there. Control X, yes, enter, and we source it again. And this will allow us to install in a Linux environment global package. As you remember, we will be using .mon for our application in development, but in production is not a really good option. So PM2 is a daemon process for Node application that will help us actually to run the application in production. I will restart it every time that actually is going to be needed. So let's actually install it. And we'll wait for a couple of minutes. So now we can actually use npm2-b. npm2 is installed. Perfect. Now that we have npm2, we need to clone our application. Let's actually sorry. Let me go back to my GitHub. Oh my god. There you go. And from here I will click clone it. Now because I'm on the server, I can actually use the HTTPS version. So I will copy this line, going back to the server and git clone that. If I go to my basic API, over here, let's actually continue with the rest of the information. One of the things it's actually asking me, we need to copy the environmental example to IMB, and then we open the nano IMB and we start changing this. So for environment, where it's going to be production, for the port is going to be 3000, and right now the origin is going to be everything. Let's keep it that for now. Control X, yes, enter. Now yarn to install any dependencies. And we'll wait for them for a minute. And now that we're running like that, we need to actually run through npm. So we're going to start the process. Is not called production, it's actually called start. So let me change this. Sorry, when you saw the nodes you will see correctly there. So box fix. There you go. So you're going to do npm, you're going to start through yarn, use bash as the interpreter, and we call it API, and we'll call the start. Pretty much. So before doing that, of course we need to build it, because we need to remember that our package JSON or the start is going to actually run the distribution one. Distribution was not there, now it's there through or review process. Now we can do this. Let's call it, instead of call it API, let's call it first API. And click enter. And now we have a process running. And this is something that is going to be there. We do pm2ls. We saw the application is running. It has not been restarted, and it have uptime of 7 seconds. If I try again, it have uptime of 50 seconds. So this is pretty much our process manager for the server. I'm sorry for that noise. It looked like an airplane is flying a little bit loud over here. So sorry for that. So let's wait for a minute. So it looks like our application is actually working. But there's something. We cannot hit our application because the port that we are running is the port 3000. The port 3000 is get blocked through a firewall. That's why we're going to be using Nginx. And Nginx is going to be our reverse proxy for the app. And let's actually do this. So let's call install the API. We'll call it first API configuration. And from there, I will pretty much copy and paste this. So I'm saying that's going to list port 80. Well, we know. List port 80 in the version 6. The server name is going to be actually first API, and the name of the site in my case is Rodolfo Roman SYC. So location of the root is going to be a proxy path. That means through proxy is going to be sent back to my local host, to the same server in the port 3000. So our no application running locally in the server, this is going to be the one that's going to handle everything from the top to here. And this is a really basic example, right? So let's do Control X, yes to save, enter. Perfect. And now the location of the application doesn't matter because we just have it running. And now if we try to hit this one again, it doesn't work because we need to restart the app. So let's Nginx. Let's test some configuration. Everything is okay. Then the sudo nginx-s reload. And sudo without the n, of course. Perfect. So now if I restart this, my first API is actually there. It's working the way that it is. But it's running in HTTP. Of course, we need to be always secure, and we need to add servbot. And that's going to be really easy. So I believe we can actually skip the first one because we already did the upgrade. So let's install the properties command. Let's install the repository universe. We wait for a minute. Go into our home directory. Actually, we're already there. Well, we were not. Now let's download the servbot auto. We're going to move it to the bin directory, the local bin, that we need to be able to run it. We're going to change the user. It's going to be root, and the permissions of that particular file. And now we're supposed to be able to run it like this. After we run it the first time, servbot is going to get all the dependencies that is going to be needed. We wait for a couple of minutes for those dependencies to get installed, and then we are going to serve the HTTPS certificate to our backend server. So let's just wait and wait. almost done, I believe. You know what? Instead of making you waiting, let me just pause the video and I will continue when this actually finishes. So now it's finished and it's going to install the certificate. So that's me for my email. So in my case, let me give you my email. Let me give you the one from my college. You know what? Let me give my personal one. So you put your email here. Doesn't matter which email you want to put. So we need to agree to the terms. I'm willing to share. This is going to depend on if you want to share or not. I will put no in this case. So we'll select yes. It's going to be for my first API. It will do the chaining, the cleaning, copying everything. Now I will do the redirect. So I will select to. That means everything the HTTP is going to be HTTPS now. And when it's done, I should be able to refresh this and have my API deployed in a secure manner. If I see my headers, you will see my headers have the secure ones, and it came from other one, and we will explain the rest of the information later. But for now, we can actually go now to Postman, and we can actually test our application. Without the port, let's go to the first API, format.syc. If I do a GET request, it's working. A post, perfect. Put, everything is there. So that means we are doing what we're supposed to. So to do a quick round, we create the Readme file. We upload it to Jetcode. We create and open the server. We configure the server. Then we clone it. Let me list my directory. And we have the Bexy API right here. We clone we clone that repository. Inside that repository, we just need to install dependencies with yarn. And then we build it for production with yarn build. And then we use PM2 to be running, and then PM2 ls to run our application, and it's been there. Oh, something else. If you want to see logs, we can do PM2 logs, and without our application logs being actually handled there. Of course, they are not the pretty one because we are in a production environment, but that means that we can attach this log to a login system, and it's ready for production. So I really hope that you liked it, that you follow up with the video. You saw pretty much we did everything pretty much quick how to deploy it, and I believe it's easier for the backend server. So any question or doubt, don't hesitate to reach me. See you in the next video. Happy coding, everybody.